I always think about fundraising in two stages. Before you have a first term sheet, and then after you have the first term sheet. And everything I've been talking about is basically trying to get to your first term sheet. By far the hardest stage. It's like pushing a boulder up the hill before you get a first term sheet. And then once you get a term sheet, you're kind of running down the hill. And the reason why you're running downhill is you have a concrete thing that you can take to everybody else and be like, are you in? Are you in? Are you in? Are you in? Do you have a better offer? And so you can do that stuff. Okay. Before you go back to everybody and tell everybody that you have a term sheet, you want to evaluate the term sheet first. Make sure it's a term sheet that you would like credibly take. You are taking a risk if you have a term sheet that you wouldn't actually take, then you tell everybody about how you have a term sheet. And if nobody comes in, then you're stuck with this term sheet that you didn't actually like very much. So evaluate the term sheet. If it's a credible term sheet, you would reasonably want to take it. Then you go back to the other investors and you say, hey, we just received a term sheet. We have 2 weeks to make a decision. I would love for you to be part of this. Let me know if you guys kind of like are interested in making an investment and we can kind of like talk about it. You do not have to tell the other investors who the term sheet is from and how much it is they're giving you in any of the valuation. You don't have to do any of that, right? You can if you think it helps you, but only if you think it helps you. Just say it, be like, it's a really good, it's a great term sheet. We'd be really happy with it. It's from an investor that we like. But I would love to work with you too. So, if you're interested, like, let's talk more. What can we do to speed up the process? What more do you need to see with me? The process will accelerate. Don't be afraid if a bunch of investors fall out once you start telling them about this. And frankly, the reason why they're going to fall out is they were never that serious anyway. But again, all investors want optionality. I'm not going to tell you no until I like absolutely have to, because in case I absolutely want to say yes at some later point. So the process will accelerate and a lot of people will drop out, and which is totally fine. And then hopefully the people that are left will be more serious and you can try to get another term sheet. If you are trying to get better deals and you want to raise your valuation or the amount of money you're raising, the very best way to do that is by getting competing term sheets. That's how valuations get really crazy. For some context for people, we've seen valuations, like let's say that the valuation of the first term sheet was like 10 mil and the like ending term sheet was like 50 mil. It's insane. It's like, is the company worth 5x more in the like 5 days that happened? Absolutely not. But look, it's an auction, right? Fundraising is an auction and term sheets are auctions, and somebody just bid a higher price. And we actually had to tell that company, we're like, hey, you probably shouldn't take the $50 million one because you guys are not worth that much. And that's going to be like, it's going to be so hard to raise your next round at a higher valuation than that. But I don't know, that's like a rich man's problem. Okay. Negotiations part here. I'm going to talk about this quickly because look, I think if you're at the negotiation part, then, you're in reasonable shape here. So I won't go through this too quickly. You need to know what you want. That goes back to the date. And so what are you looking for? How much you want to raise and all of that. You need to understand the terms. There's a bunch of funny clauses like most favored nation and liquidation preferences and clawbacks. So you need to really understand your terms. You want to avoid, and as you're negotiating, you want to also avoid ambiguity. So the way that I avoid ambiguity actually is by documenting everything. So if I'm on a conversation with, let's say, Melissa, and Melissa's the VC, and we're negotiating some term, and I think we agree on like, I don't know, maybe Melissa and I are like, cool, 1.5x liquidation preferences, right? And I think that's what we say on the call, whatever. I always send investors an email follow-up after that. And I'm like, here are all the things we agreed upon. Can you please confirm? And the reason why I do that is I want to confirm with Melissa that we agreed on 1.5x liquidation preferences. And like, that's what she kind of thinks. And I want them to confirm over email that this is what we agreed upon. I don't think email is like legally kind of like admissible in court or anything like that. But at least if you have an email where they said, I said 1.5 liquidation preferences and Melissa said, yes, that's what we agreed upon, she is less likely to back off of that. There's like a paper trail that like I have in my email. So look, I'm not going to sue investors for kind of like not coming good on their terms, but like the paper trail is like a good deterrent. So negotiating, you got to know what you want, understand all the terms, and then you want to avoid ambiguity by documenting everything. Send them an email afterwards and just be like, here's what all the things that I think we agreed upon. Let me know if that isn't the case and we should talk about it.